Brick and mortar guitar stores are dying. So what does that mean for guitar players like you and me? Let's talk about it. Alright guys, hope you're doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle. What I do is I take all sorts of awesome high gain related guitar equipment, record it with a simple setup, and I give you the unprocessed audio on your end. But today, I actually came across an article that really bummed me out online. Well, it bummed me out everywhere, not just online. That was poor. So some of you guys may remember that Sam Ash, a large retailer in the US here, announced that they were gonna be closing like 18 of their 44 stores back in March. Their business had been slowly dwindling and dying out to the point where they decided it was best to remove some of their stores from certain markets that just weren't doing well anymore. Well, this morning, apparently they released a statement saying that they're gonna close the rest of their stores this year unless they find a buyer for the company. Somebody who wants to come in, buy it, try to turn it around. A lot of investment firms will do stuff like this. I don't really understand all the business lingo behind it because my brain is a little poo-poo doo-doo nugget, but pretty much no matter how you spin it, it's not really a good thing for Sam Ash. And that actually bums me out because for a long time, I used to really love going to the Sam Ash store in Cleveland. For a long time, they were the only guitar store in the area really of where I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania, so we've got Pittsburgh, got Buffalo, and we've got Cleveland all within not that far of a driving distance. And out of all the guitar stores that I visited in those areas, like that Sam Ash in Cleveland always had the coolest stuff. Every time I would go in that store, I would actually end up walking out with something, which for me is actually, believe it or not all that common because I just find that finding really good deals in brick and mortar stores is kind of difficult. But on more than one occasion, I walked into the Sam Ash store in Cleveland and got a great deal on a piece of gear that I was really excited about. A couple of those things I actually still own. I got my VHT Pitbull there. I got my Diesel 412 RV cab there. And the best deal that I ever got there was a Gibson Faded SG that I bought for literally $340. Don't know how I got it for that cheap. And this was also probably almost 10 years ago at this point. So obviously the market has changed quite a bit, but yeah, I've walked in there a number of times and walked out really happy with a great deal. And they also used to have a lot of like higher end stuff. So even before I was into the higher end gear market, like I could at least put my hands on something like a Gibson R9 or some of the more expensive guitar amps. That was actually, I believe, the first place I ever played a Friedman amp at. And they just, yeah, they always had cool stuff at that store, whereas Guitar Centers usually were pretty disappointing. But yeah, thinking back to all the times that I used to literally make a pilgrimage just to go to that store, just to stop in there and check things out in person, it kind of got me thinking that when these stores start closing, what is really gonna be left out there for people to go and actually try to put their hands on a piece of equipment before they spend their money on it? As far as Guitar Center is concerned, they are the biggest retailer in the US, but pretty much every time I walk into a Guitar Center, I am met with disappointment because they just don't usually seem to have all that great of a selection. They don't really have anything that's like really exciting or unique. They generally seem to focus on that lower end of the market, as in like the entry level stuff. They carry a lot of like really cheap practice amps. They carry a lot of the really low end stuff from like Jackson and Schecter and obviously Epiphone and Squier. And that seems to make up the bulk of their inventory because, I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of the bulk of who is shopping for guitar equipment. But in the past, it at least seemed like there were some stores that had some really cool stuff. I believe they used to call it the Platinum Room, where they would have like Bogners and Friedmans, and that's where they would put the expensive Gibsons and like the PRS and the Ernie Ball Music Mans and stuff. You used to at least be able to go into some of these stores and get a cool look at some really expensive and unique gear. And on top of that, the mid-tier selection of stuff somewhere in the, well, I guess what used to be like the $800 to $1,200 range. That range has honestly gone up to almost $2,000 with the way that the prices are changing on everything and the market is changing. But anyways, I'm rambling at this point. The point that I'm trying to make is that the stores that are around that at least used to give you the opportunity of trying out some stuff that you would have a really hard time finding at any other place are either A, completely going out of business, or B, really starting to focus in on the lower end of the market. And that's a shame. But to be honest, I think that pretty much everybody saw this coming at this point. And there are a number of reasons for that. Number one, I mean, online shopping is just kind of what you do now. Most people are buying the majority of the things that they buy online, whether it actually be essential items that you need for living, or it be luxury items like guitar stuff that you don't need to survive, and stuff that has basically been relegated to hobbyists and professionals. It doesn't really matter what it is, most people are buying those things online, and the companies that are really flourishing, or the companies that are at least kind of keeping their business up to a decent amount, are the companies that have kind of adapted to that. Sweetwater obviously being the number one example of a company that just really figured out how to do the online shopping experience right. They have turned into, I believe, the largest music retailer in the US now. I could be wrong about that, but they really have become the most popular place to shop for music equipment in general. And that's because they focused all of their business, they focused all of their energy and their effort into the online shopping experience, making the best possible experience for the customer on the other end of that computer monitor. And it paid off extremely well for them. Now, this video is not sponsored by Sweetwater. This video is not sponsored by anybody. But if you do want to help my channel, I do have a Sweetwater affiliate link down below in the description. Thanks. But yeah, it's the companies that saw early on that the internet was going to be the future and invested their time and effort into building the online experience that are doing well and that are moving forward. Whereas the companies like Sam Ash, which I don't know if you guys have ever tried to shop online with Sam Ash, but it's kind of a nightmare. Their used section was hard to navigate. Their new section, I just felt like anytime I tried to search for anything on their website, it just felt like a total slog. Like the website was slow, it was hard to find things, the search results weren't good, the search engine that they used was pretty poor. And even though I think Guitar Center is better, you could kind of say a lot of the same things for them. Not an easy site to navigate. The online shopping experience is nowhere near as good as it is as somewhere like Sweetwater. And those companies are falling behind, and naturally with the takeover of the internet shopping experience, brick and mortar stores, no matter what, hobby or no matter what really it is, boy, I really struggled to put that sentence together, are just inherently suffering. And I think in the future, there will be very, very few brick and mortar stores left for really anything that's not essential living items. Now, even before the internet really became the place where people were shopping, or even really before people realized that that was going to happen, there was already something taking place in the guitar store world where Guitar Center was expanding rapidly, and even Sam Ash expanded quite a bit, and they moved into a lot of different markets that for a long time had these mom and pop stores or these locally owned music stores that didn't really have any competition. So when these corporate entities move into that market and they bring in their bigger inventories, and with their bigger inventories and the bigger volume of stuff that they sell, they can offer better prices to the customer, or they can offer sales prices, and they can spend money on advertising. It's only a matter of time before those mom and pop shops really start to suffer, and that happened, and it actually ended up putting a lot of those smaller stores out of business. And now that a lot of those smaller stores are out of business, the only things left in town are the Guitar Centers and the Sam Ashes, and now that those stores are starting to fail due to the online shopping phenomenon, I guess it's not really a phenomenon, it's just the way of life, it's only a matter of time before those stores are pretty much completely gone as well. There will be a few legendary guitar stores scattered across the country, stuff that's been in business for a really long time, like Carter's in Nashville, and maybe Atomic Music in Maryland, and then I'm sure that there's a couple of stores out in LA that have been there for a long time. But yeah, I think it's gonna get to the point where we really don't have much in the way of brick and mortar stores. We really don't have much in the way of actually being able to go out and try equipment for ourselves before we spend our money on it. And I'll be honest, man, that really, really bums me out. When I was younger, even when online shopping was, pretty common at the time, we'll say even as recent as 2010, I used to have friends where we would kind of make plans a couple weeks in advance to make a trip out to one of those cities, Buffalo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and basically make a day out of going out there, trying to hit a couple of the different guitar stores, trying to hit some record shops, hitting one of the popular food spots in the area, and just kind of making it a trip. And I've got lots of memories from those trips that I really, really enjoyed, and things like that are just kind of slowly going away because even things like record stores, those are disappearing. And now with the major guitar stores and stuff disappearing, it's like, what what's there left to plan a trip around if you're a music nerd like that? So I've got a lot of great memories, and I know a lot of other people do, of traveling to different guitar stores and kind of making a day out of it. And honestly, we might be getting to a point where that's no longer a thing. It's no longer a possibility. But I will say something that I have seen happening over the last few years, or maybe the last even 5-6 years or so, there seems to be kind of like the pendulum swinging back in the other direction type of effect, where not only in the guitar market, but in a lot of different markets where these big corporate entities move into town and they put out some of these smaller businesses, they put them out of business. There seems to be like this movement or this resurgence of local stores coming back, and whether it's like local coffee shops or local donut shops. I've seen a couple of local record shops pop up. In fact, a couple of my friends own some of the record shops in the cities that are close to Erie. And those shops are doing well, and I think it's because people got tired of everything being these big box stores, these big corporate stores. There's absolutely like no personal touch or personal feel to shopping at those places, and they kind of want to go back to that old mom and pop type of store mentality where you walk in, you know the people that work there, you can get a good deal because you can talk to the people that work there. They're not just some person who's collecting minimum wage working for this company, not knowing anything about the product or about the company or about whatever it is that they're selling. And it really kind of seems like that has been just popping up a little bit more here and there. I could be wrong, but I feel like I see it happening more and more, this kind of a strike back against all the corporations and, you know, the kind of mom and pop or the locally owned store kind of making a resurgence. So I guess, yeah, with all that said, that was just kind of the spilling of my brain matter to you guys over on the other side of the camera, but those are kind of my thoughts on it. I'm really curious to see what you guys have to say about it. Number one, I want to know if you guys have any particular, like, really strong music store memories. Maybe your dad or your parents took you to a music store to get your first instrument, and it was just a really great experience for you that you'll never forget. Or maybe you just happened upon a store that kind of like blew your mind at one point. Whatever it is, let me know about that down below in the description. Nope, I typed there. Down below in the comments, and especially if it's like a smaller store or something, name that store. I'm really curious to see what stores you guys have been shopping at around the country and seeing what is still out there. And also, I want to know, what do you guys think about this subject in general? Do you only shop online at this point? Are you kind of just like, yep, that's the way that things are and I'm fine with it and I enjoy it? Or are you a person that makes it a point to go and shop at local stores to try and help keep things like that in business? Or you shop at stores like that because you enjoy the experience and that's important to you? Whatever it is, let me know down below in the comments, not the description, and I'll be sure to meet you guys down there to chat about it. And yeah, really looking forward to hearing from you guys and seeing what you have to say on the subject. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here, hit that like button. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. If you want to help my channel, again, I've got affiliate links down below from Sweetwater and Zounds. And yeah, it's gonna be it for me. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Kyle here again. I can't talk. You know what this wall is missing? Another amp. There we go.